Hi Andrew, this is Stephen with Fairs MI, and this is an introduction I've thrown in concerning your question about blank grids. And we can certainly create these to your specifications. I'm going to go ahead and load a sample of what a layout might look on a grid and show you how you can manipulate that. But the important thing is that we can then later on put them on an outdoor area, and it takes less than 24 hours to get them online and available for you to take let's say a template of a layout that you do quite often and apply it to an outdoor area. So what we're going to do is show you that and pull up an outdoor area, and we're going to take this layout that we just created and we're going to go ahead and drop it in to an outdoor area, and then we're going to go ahead and manipulate it, edit it so that it fits the geometry of that outdoor area. So as you see, what we've done is we've saved it from the grid layout, and this could be a layout that you do quite often, and then you want to apply it to a actual venue. So this just shows that we've dropped it in whole. We can actually drag the entire layout to a spot on a map, and then we can go ahead and edit those areas, rotate them around, and maybe even add more entities if we like. So let's just go ahead and look. We're going ahead and rotating one of the objects, this Ferris wheel. We're going to try again. Here we go. So we've rotated this Ferris wheel to drop it in and align it up with an angle, something we can't anticipate when we're doing our grid layout, necessarily an angle layout, and then we kind of reorganize it so that it fits much better onto the landscape. Now, one of the things that's kind of interesting is that you can create several different stock layouts, maybe for your food areas and your ride areas, and you can create those as sub layouts, and they can all be combined into one drawing also. So this is where you create a library ahead of time of these different areas and drop them in and combine them, and it takes only a few minutes. So when you go ahead and draw a layout onto a grid, and then you have a physical location that you want to apply it to, you give us that information and we can have it up for you in 24 to 48 hours, and it's no extra cost. That's included in the service. So Andrew, that was our little bit of an introduction. We're going to show you some things that may not apply directly to what you do in the beginning of this presentation, but it will lend to helping you understand towards the end of the presentation how this all works for you. Stephen with Bears Management Interactive, and this is a video learning session dedicated to independent contractors for events. And I know your time is short, so we're going to try to make this really quick in the beginning, showing you the basics, and then towards the end of the video go into more detail that you can watch if you have time. So in terms of the various controls and tools you use, on the right we have the drop-down menu that would show your various projects and the buildings or the areas that they reside in. Now, the other thing we have is a sales planner, and that's where you put in the individual information for either the ride or the vendor or the booth, but it assigns information to the objects in your drawing. The exhibitor data is a quick way to look up by clicking on an object what that information is. The files menu allows you to save these to individual file folders and to combine various layouts later on. And then our booth layout tab is where we actually edit and change the drawing and create the original layouts. Going back to our drop-down menu, we can, again, we're looking at the various exhibit halls and outdoor areas. Here's our BLC building. One of the things we have is a zoom control that allows us to zoom and pan in. And if you look at the detail, you'll see that as we zoom in, the detailing remains clear and crisp no matter how close we get in on it. This allows us to do some pretty fine details in terms of our layouts, right down to signages and guide podiums and things like this. So we can be very detailed in the types of objects we want in our show inventory. Here's our QE hall. And again, the same thing, high detail, and we can look at various sections of this. This is our outdoor area. And as we zoom in, you can see that we get, again, we keep a good, you can see we keep a good bit of detail here. Now there is a tool called the measure distance tool. We take our crosshair and we drag one up to the left-hand side and one up to the right-hand side. And in that X area is the horizontal distance. And then we go ahead and measure the vertical or the Y distance. Now they don't have to be exactly aligned because it is measuring the absolute horizontal and vertical distances. Now when we want to do a diagonal, we look at that arrow in both directions. It gives us the quote-unquote radial distance. Now if we go ahead and with diagonals assign an area, then we see that we can also measure square footages. So let's go on now to how we create booths. And everything created in Fairs MI is a pod, or it starts out as a group. Here we've got the BLC building, and we're going to go ahead and set the number of aisles in a group of booths, and the number of booths in the row, and the size of the booths. We're also going to set the orientation. All we do is we click New, and we can drag down an entire group of booths into our hall. Now we can reset that orientation so that it goes horizontally too. Here we go, we'll go ahead and do that. And we can set the numbering orientation so it goes from left to right or right to left depending on where your entrance is. Now, this may not be important to the type of business you do in terms of setting up amusements or other events, but let's say you're going to do a wedding reception. Well, here's your list of icons. Icons are very important because they are customized objects that you can provide to us. They may be symbols, they may be safety or accessories, they may be industry specified rides. But here it's going to be a round table with a number. That's our icon. We choose it. Now we go ahead and set the booth size or the table size to 6 by 6 for a 6-foot round. And we're going to go ahead and set the number of booths in the row. And we're going to change our layout orientation a little bit. Now here we hit our advanced control, which is good for the banquet setups. We've clicked stagger, which is that X pattern that's familiar to banquet setups. And we're going to put some separation between the tables, of course. We hit OK. All we do is we hit New. Now, as you can see, it didn't quite fit, or maybe it fits in some areas, but it may not fit into this little hall right here. So it's very easy. You don't have to calculate ahead of time. You can go ahead and guess. So what's going to happen is I'm going to go ahead and reset that number. And I'm just going to make another one. See how that works out. Now there you go. So then we delete the previous one. And we're going to zoom up into that little area that has been rented for a wedding reception. Now when we start with our pod, we can borrow from one of the objects, make a copy, and we'll drag it over. In this case, we're going to make a stage. Now we're going to change the icon type. Right now it's a round table, but we're going to change it back to a normal square. That's 6 by 6, of course. So what we're going to do is we're going to relabel it. And we're going to reset the dimension so that it's appropriate for a stage. Going to hit OK. There you are. Now, if we wanted to clear out some space for a dance area, we would start by deleting the tables to make room for it. Just click and delete. Now, as we get these cleared out, we're going to go and click on our stage again, and we're going to make another copy by hitting New. We're going to relabel it to Dance. We're going to resize it. And when you hit OK, it actually changes the object. But when you hit New, it makes a new object with those changes. Again, we didn't really try to size it up in advance, we kind of guessed, and now it's very easy to resize it, and this time hit OK, so it changes the actual object. Now we want to maybe differentiate the color, so we're going to go ahead and choose red box as our icon, and there you have it. And that's how simple it is to make a wedding reception. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the outdoor areas and rides and entertainment type venues. And we're going to go ahead and load up a theoretical small carnival with vendor boxes and the rides and some of the utility organizations here. You can see we've got first aid and ATMs and the porta-johns. And again, this layout is completely editable. You'll see that all these different shapes are icons, and they can be represented by shapes and objects that you provide to us simply as a sketch or even a verbal description, or a technical drawing that gives a actual size. And this is really advantageous, especially for round objects or objects that have a complex geometry that make it very hard to calculate in advance how they will be laid out. And the fact that you can turn some of these objects in different directions and create more space or take up more space is very important. So these objects can be rotated, resized, labeled. We can go back and make changes to existing icons as your inventory is updated or replaced. And we can work from your catalogs. You can provide us simply just a catalog of the equipments that you use for your events. And if they include dimensions, then we can work directly from that. You can add alpha characters. You can assign each ride a numerical identification that allows you to catalog out and keep your inventory straight. For even more detail, we have the Sales Planner tab that normally is used to track your exhibitors and vendors in a traditional exhibition show, but it can also be used to label the inventory equipment that you have with even more detailed descriptions, catalog numbers, inspection records, personnel assignments. So this planner is useful not only for simply laying out on site, but also for tracking the organization of the equipment you're using. And like I say, the sales planner does give you an in-depth ability to label the individual pieces of equipment, but then again, if you're going to be selling vendor space, carnival booths, then this also allows you to label those occupants in the traditional manner in terms of the name of the occupant and information that has to go along with them. So whether it's a food stall vendor, or it's a banquet guest seating assignment, or it's a piece of on-site equipment, all these things can be edited, can be updated very quickly, and provide you a snapshot at any given time in terms of a event progress report, and saved online as layout plans to be retrieved, edited, combined with other plans, or archived. So as we wrap up this presentation, let's give you a chance just to look over some of the detail, some of the abilities to zoom in, not only look at the objects themselves, but also the background maps that we can provide for the various locations that you may be putting your events on. As we discussed, we can provide you a grid blank layout to create templates of your traditional arrangements for your equipments, and then we can transfer that to actual sites as you need them. Again, any kind of objects, equipment that you need can be provided to us in terms of sketches, verbal descriptions, brochures, and we can put them in this drop-down menu for you so that you have a custom drop-down of only the objects and equipment that you use in your planning. The one thing that Fairs MI does not do is try to reinvent the way you do business. We're here to make you more efficient, to accomplish more volume of sales, and to capture more new business by creating presentation material for your prospective clients that is far above what your competition may have to offer. Fairs MI also has something we call an open access mode, and this allows you on a phone call with your client to both see the planner and based on their feedback to be able to in real time make changes and get approvals on changes to their event. This is included in your subscription and is at no extra cost, but allows you to save a lot of time, to avoid having to go out on site unnecessarily, and to secure contract changes efficiently. One of the things that we do provide you is video guided learning sessions where you can learn how to use these tools. But let me emphasize that we provide you unlimited learning via phone guided learning sessions. And we also will take, when you're first starting out, some of your layouts and actually create those layouts for you online so that you can start working with real examples and you're not really starting from scratch. So 30 years of events industry experience, one price covers all. You have a free demo using your actual events. Our phone guided learning program schedules to your convenience, and we make sure that we only spend time teaching you just the skills you need to get the job done and not waste your time with manuals or reading through unnecessary information. We make sure that your presentation to your next client is a success. So thanks so much for taking the time to look over this video. Please contact us and we will create a free trial demo with some of your actual jobs so that you can try it out for yourself. Thanks again.